Anakin. Anakin's gone.
Hello, everyone. Here we are starting with the craziest part of episode 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have here Eduardo Organista, who was on set of Obi-Wan Kenobi with the very amazing Star Wars ship background. With us, Mac Coulter from NIC Partners INC. And Mac, I know you have a lot to say about this specific scene, so just go ahead.
I'll condense this. There is a concept in storytelling called peak end, or the peak end rule. So people typically remember series or franchises based on either the peak action part of the movie or series and the end. A prime example of this is Game of Thrones, one of the most watched shows in history. People who watched it religiously hate the end of it. Why do they hate it? Because the end of it wasn't what they wanted, and so their feelings towards the show is really negative. Now, do you think people are going to love Kenobi? Of course. This last episode was incredible. And Chris, everything everyone has ever wanted from Star Wars. I've heard nothing but positive things about this last episode. I read Twitter statuses saying that this is what every episode should have been. If they just did this for 6 episodes, no one would have said anything negative. And it's like, but for the last 5 episodes, all we've heard is so many complaints, so many critiques, so many problems. This show was incredible. The show was incredible before the last episode, and the show is even more incredible because of this last episode. The fight scene between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, even though people had already assumed they were never going to meet. No, they had met. They knew who each other were, and they fought they fought right there in that moment. It was this passionate. This was this ultimate confrontation between this failed master and this failed apprentice. I like the parallels that cutting off of the head of the mask. I felt like that was such a powerful scene because it actually share with sound. It actually parallels the fight Darth Vader has with Ahsoka Tano. You see right here where Obi-Wan cuts off the left side of the mask and it shows the face. It also gives Darth Vader that scar we see on his head from A New Hope when he's in the tank. He doesn't have that scar by the second or third episode when you see Darth Vader in the back to tank. He doesn't have that scar, so this is where he gets that. When he fights Ahsoka Tano though in Rebels, she actually cuts off the other side of the face mask. So it's interesting that we have like his apprentice who can like remove half his mask, and then his former master who can remove his other half, but only his son Luke Skywalker can like remove the mask of Darth Vader and save him. So it's just beautiful cinematography. I was completely entranced by this episode. I thought this is what I agree. I think if they did this every single episode, then no one could say anything. But at the same time, like, how can you top this?
Go ahead,
Eddie. Yeah. It's hard for me to be unbiased because I saw the fight in real time, and it was just like, I can't believe this is happening. And then when they were having that dialogue exchange, where everybody, like, I remember the volume was just really quiet because they wanted to know, like, they wanted to hear what they were saying. And but I remember I mean, I can talk into what went on in production a little bit later, but like this episode, I very much enjoyed it, even though I knew what was coming. It still surprised me in different ways. We're obviously going to talk about that big cameo. And the thing is, like, on call sheets they give you aliases for actors and stuff like that for who's coming, and immediately I knew which alias was Liam Neeson's. I'm like,
funny.
But yeah, so anyway, no, this episode was tremendous. I don't agree that if every episode was like this, it would make the show better, because I think there needs to be some room for some compelling drama that isn't just fighting.
Yeah,
like I love this episode so much too. The one thing that I was a little bit sort of struck by was was Reva. Reva, she had a good arc there at the end of the episode, but I also felt it was slightly just a little bit misplaced because I feel like I wanted all the attention to be on the tension between Obi-Wan and Vader slash Anakin. Um, and I wanted to see that. Like I almost stopped caring about like Reva's storyline, and I think that's a bummer because I love her as a character, and I think she, you know, like as it shows when she's like, making that decision to not, kill Luke or whatever, and you can see the conflict inside her. I wish I could have seen that more rather than just outright rage. Like we talked about how we wish there was a little bit more color to her character and more nuance, I guess you can say. Because Moses is fantastic. She's a great actress, and she can definitely provide nuance without saying much. But no, this I know we'll get into it later, but this episode is just amazing. Yeah. There's a lot of great moments with Reva here, and just this moment here where she's like thinking about killing Luke, and then at the end, it's almost like she's asking Obi-Wan for forgiveness in a sense.
No, certainly. I think you're right.
Yeah, and then just Reva was like, "Am I like him?" And Obi-Wan's like, "No, not at all." And the fact that they're both free, is a good testament to letting go and accepting. Whether you consider it a failure or whether you consider it a loss, you have to let go and accept that loss. And Obi-Wan kicked Vader's ass twice, so that's
Actually he did. Yeah, that's two in the row. That's 2v0.
Man. Yeah, but no, sorry, I know I'm jumping around here, but I love that episode. The finale was fantastic. It had everything you could have asked for as a fan. Storytelling wise, that's just, you can nitpick all you want. But I came out like the moment that Obi-Wan saw that he lost his friend was just so heartbreaking, and I guess we can get into that later. But overall, I really love this finale. It was amazing.
So my question is, like, as the two of you who have been watching Star Wars for the past more than 2 decades, I would say.
Yeah.
How did this ending feel satisfying, especially when you look at the previous stories? Because some people might argue that this ending specifically, it was good, but it was just enough to be good. It was not like this strong ending that was giving you the surprise shock. Maybe Liam Neeson's cameo was the surprise element or the shocking element, but would you consider the ending itself to be a shocking element? Mac, you can go first, and then
I wouldn't say the ending is shocking, and I don't disagree. I think you're right. I think this wasn't this epic episode 3 Duel of the Fates showdown on this lava planet. Like, that would be crazy, but this wasn't supposed to be that either. In my mind, this was one of the first forms of closure either of these characters could get from each other. At the end of the day, like, there's not really a lot of progress that comes between this Obi-Wan you're seeing here, this Ben Kenobi character, and the Ben Kenobi you meet in episode 4. Like, he's gonna go off. He literally leaves the home he's currently at, which is closest to Luke. He moves further away in the Dune Sea. He's at the end of the episode, he's wearing his customary robes that he wears in the comic series that picks up right after this series ended. Which you might not know that, but obviously I do, because I have no life. I just appreciate that this fight scene wasn't so epic. It was like sad. It was a tragedy that these two friends were fighting. And like you said, like, this is Darth Vader's goodbye. Like, this is their goodbye to each other. I like that he tells Obi-Wan, like, yeah, you didn't kill Anakin, I did. And that's what Obi-Wan tells Luke at the end, like in episode 4. He's like, hey, Darth Vader killed your father. And like, obviously Luke goes on to find out that's not true, and he feels a little betrayed by that. But what Obi-Wan meant by that was, yeah, Darth Vader is the reason your father is dead. I thought that was beautiful. I'm glad they wrote that in like that. That's the power of a prequel. That's how you use a prequel. You don't necessarily need to incorporate new characters. You can. You don't need to incorporate new behavior. You can. What you're doing, though, is you're filling in the context for these characters that already exist and make them more important, give them more value, make them mean more to the audience. And that's what they do here. You watch Darth Vader be sad. You watch it. You look me in my eyeballs right now and tell me that Ewan McGregor was not acting his brains out right there in that last episode. That was tragic. I was waiting for him to scream, "You were my brother, Anakin," all over again, because that's how I felt. I was like, he's right back there. Just we're putting him back in there. And actually to go back a little bit on your point with Reva, her and Obi-Wan are both victims of Anakin Skywalker in this, and so that's where I feel like her character development has led her is this opposition, but also now a shared camaraderie of suffering because of Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. At the end, she's like, "Am I like him?" He's like, "Nah, dude. Like, he's terrible. He kills children. You only killed like 5 or 10. He's killed hundreds. So, you know what I'm saying? You got a chance to redeem yourself. He's gonna need this kid to do that. That's beyond me." So
yeah, I agree. And I remember over the years thinking about whether do we like I've always wanted to see Ewan McGregor be Obi-Wan again, come back for a movie or something like that. And
Heck yeah.
even though I wanted it, I knew it wasn't narratively necessary. Like it's not necessary. But what I found with the series is that it provided for both Vader and Obi-Wan, it provided more of an enrichment of their characters. So now that when you see the originals, you have all of that substance now.
Exactly.
And it's all in your head, right? And you just imagine like, wow, like it feels more like they filled in more gaps. You know, not that the gaps were necessarily a bad thing because it created a lot of mysteriousness, but I really feel that what the show did more often than not is fill in certain little gaps and also character beats that we would all imagine, like, what was Obi-Wan doing all these years, and what was Vader doing all these years too. And it's one of those things that I didn't feel like I knew I needed, but I also didn't know I wanted, and I really did want to see that, to see how it played out and create more enrichment with these characters. It was such a joy.
Yeah.
So I think what the show did, I think the way it ended was perfect. Because then I don't think it minimizes A New Hope in any way. I don't think it does anything to canon that's disrespectful to the canon or whatever. And like, I don't think any of that. I think it's very much it adds more than it'll ever take away. And it's like, who doesn't want to see Hayden Christensen, with the helmet of Vader, literally just acting beside Ewan McGregor again. And that scene was just so that was very emotional. That was very emotional because Ewan and Hayden just you know the history, all of it. Even if you know where it's gonna go, that's what's funny about this. Like, where it's gonna go, but it doesn't matter. You're still emotionally affected in some way.
Exactly.
And so I was surprisingly enthralled. Even though like the other side of my brain was like, oh my god, I can't believe I was there. I can't believe I saw that. I can't believe like this and that, and I was just like, oh my god.
Can you hear music on set?
Yeah, so they would play when they would fight, they would play Duel of the Fates.
I knew it.
Deborah Chow wanted to play music while they were rolling. That was like the coolest thing.
Yes.
It's like they would play Duel of the Fates, and it was just it was a little cheesy, but like cheesy in a very fun and badass way.
Yes.
Like it got, you can see, and then when Vader was walking somewhere, or when Reba was going somewhere, they would play like the Imperial March or whatever, and like it was just so cool to have that on set. It created a lot of environment.
Yeah.
And there's a little story that I wanted to tell, but I know we got to get forward. I can tell it after, but yeah. A little fun tidbit.
Think about this ending specifically. I don't want to say I was disappointed, but I want to say that I was expecting this element of shock coming somewhere. And not specifically because we are in the Star Wars universe, but because in the previous spin-offs, so The Mandalorian and Boba Fett, we had the introduction of like crazy characters at the end.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about the ending of season 2 of The Mandalorian, when you have Luke Sully out of nowhere coming in. And then in Boba Fett, you have like this interrelation between Mandalorian and Boba Fett and everybody else. Like it created this element of like shock. So I was waiting, like, is there some important character who's gonna come at the end of this episode? But it didn't. Thing is that I remember seeing a meme somewhere putting Boba Fett, Mandalorian, and Obi-Wan in one single picture. So I kind of thought that was like some leakage. It was similar to what they did with Spider-Man No Way Home when they spoiler alert, Spider-Man No Way Home when they put like Toby and Andrew and Tom Holland in one picture. I was like, okay, this is a thing, it's happening. So I was while I was watching, I was waiting for this moment. But again, it was a great ending. And as Eddie said, we can always like find some way to criticize it or all of that. But yeah, I would definitely agree that the ending was well done. And while it wasn't like this great, shocking catastrophe that we were expecting, it was, we shouldn't like keep expecting that every time.
Yeah.
I guess I learned from that lesson.
No, yeah. I even though there was no real surprise, there was a payoff that I thought was very emotionally impactful in a sense. Like, and that obviously that was Qui-Gon Jinn. When you have Obi-Wan reaching out, calling for his master, never sees him. And then he sees him at the end. Like that was a beautiful payoff. And even though if everybody saw it coming, everybody who knows what he's talking about and who's in Star Wars fandom, everybody knows that it's coming. But yet when it comes, like I saw some reaction videos of people like, oh my God, and just like losing their minds and just like emotionally beat about it. So yeah, you're right. There was no shocking or crazy moments at the end, but there was a really beautiful payoff, I think, in my mind, with Qui-Gon appearing as a Force ghost.
Yeah, I was actually really excited they did that. I love how informed they have to keep people for certain pieces of lore to just make sense. And Force Ghosts are just one of those things. When they were originally, conceptualized, there wasn't all this lore behind it, but as the fandom has progressed, and especially with the prequel trilogy or the sequel trilogy coming out in the 2000s, that was just where they had to be like, all right, let's determine what a Force Ghost is and how it's made. I love that it's consistent still. The reason Obi-Wan can never see Qui-Gon throughout this entire series is because he hasn't felt that connection to the Force. He's actively been putting his Jedi past behind him to stay hidden, to watch over Luke. And at the end of Kenobi, we now have a more graduated, the true Ben Kenobi we're going to see. He is at peace with his Jedi past. He is able to talk to Qui-Gon Jinn and probably other Force ghosts. I mean, if you read the comics. And then when it comes time for Luke to be 18, 19 years old, and he's like, all right, kid, let's get out of here. Oh, no, your aunt and uncle got killed by stormtroopers. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised watching the Lars family fight Reva off with a dusty rifle in her fist. Yeah, no, she definitely was stabbed through the chest. That was not a good look for her. She had a handicap to overcome, but
yeah.
But Aunt Maru had a fist, so I mean, I don't know. That sounds like a handicap to me against a lightsaber. I think they were doing pretty good.
By the way, just to quickly add, I think the lightsaber battle between Vader and Obi-Wan, I think it's, for me, it was one of the best lightsaber battles on screen. Obviously Revenge of the Sith is number one, but but I feel like this was easily top 2, top 3 favorite lightsaber battles ever on screen. So because we were talking about it earlier, and I just wanted to circle back. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the point I was trying to make, because it was like such an incredible lightsaber battle, and I just wanted to not cut away from that, but yeah.
No, I think I agree with you. I think the lightsaber battle was crazy. I like the lighting mostly for the lightsaber battle. I mean, the choreography can be one thing or another. It's not a kung fu movie, so like obviously they're not about to have a 20-minute fight scene. But I mean, the lighting they had, the way they were, when they would speak, certain colors would flash closer to their face or further away. The red and the blue would like accent their emotions. Oh, it's very well done, and that's one of those things where you're watching it, and even if you aren't able to suspend your disbelief, you can get lost in the commitment of the cinematography that was going on. Like there's so much effort and so much passion and so much ability on display. It's hard to be like whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about like fight scenes and any art piece in general. There's always the best part of it being the element of unexpected or surprise. I liked how when you are combining the lightsaber with the force, you're adding an extra dimension to the fight. So
Mhm.
you can add always an element of surprise or an element of defense or attack using the force while you are having this lightsaber battle. So the world itself allows you to have great fight scenes.
Mhm.
You have this
I
extra
mean,
dimension.
we saw Obi-Wan basically return to his prime power-wise. We
Yeah.
saw him do things that we didn't see him do before, and I thought that was a real nice treat when he picks up all the rocks and force
Yeah, that was
pushes.
crazy.
And by the way, seeing that on set, when there's that force push going on with Vader, it was just so incredible to see that on set because it's just like, oh my god, this is actually how like because oh my god, the rigging took forever, to
Oh.
get because the Vader suit is very heavy, so it's like they had to balance the rigging and so they had to do reset a few of those shots and but it was so cool. Like the stunts, I gotta say, the stunts on set are probably the funniest things to see. And then when it's a Star Wars show and there's like all these crazy stunts, I'm like, this is amazing. There was one point where like during the fight, there was a spark that flew. I think it blew a little bit like too quickly, and it went into Ewan's face,
Oh.
and they had to like stop for like a brief moment because he literally like I think he got momentarily like blinded. Not physically, but just from the light being so close, the spark being so close. So, but he took it like a champ, and we rolled again. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Jeez.
But yeah, no, that fight was so cool to see on set. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna definitely flex a little bit about that.
Please. please do. for us.
Eddie, there was this part where you said you wanted to talk to us about it after the series ends. You wish to
Oh yeah,
allude to.
yeah,
Oh, it's time.
Yeah, it is time. Yeah.
yeah. No, so it was during the fight. And so when you see the scene where Anakin has like obviously you see him with the open part of the piece of the helmet, and on set, Hayden did an ad lib. Now it was a little bit in jest, I think, because nobody had said cut, but I remember when we heard it, everybody was like, "What?" Like it was just kind of like this. Oh, is that part of the script? But obviously we knew it wasn't. But so that scene where Ewan says goodbye, Darth, or whatever. He takes off. uh, you know, Anakin says, just she yells Obi-Wan, right? And then there's one take where he yells Obi-Wan, and you see the close up, like on the monitor, you see the close up, and then, like I want to say like maybe a few seconds before saying cut, Hayden like just shouts Obi-Wan, and then like there's like a few seconds like I forgive you. I'm like, oh my god.
No.
I was like,
Oh no.
and everybody was just like like I lost it when I heard that, and I was just like, you gotta be kidding me,
If
because
that's
obviously we want that to be true, like we
Oh,
want
yeah.
that to actually be true. And so when Hayden said that, I lost my sorry, I know I'm not supposed to cuss, but
that
I
is
lost it, and I was just so. And everybody started laughing, kind of giggling, like, "Oh my god! Imagine like
yeah.
end of series,
That's where I am. Yeah, if that would have happened, I would have thrown up in my
Yeah,
living room.
man, that was just so memorable because of that. Like that's something that we all wanted. We all want that. To have that repaired relationship. But yeah, he yelled it, and then Deborah yelled cut right after that, and she was just kind of like, I can tell she found that amusing, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that would always will always be seared in my head, and that for me will be my own truth. I'm like, that's what happened. Everything else that's what's canon.
That's canon. Yeah, in your mind, that's canon.
In my mind, that's canon. But yeah, no, that was or maybe he yelled, "I forgive you," and Obi-Wan just didn't hear it. So
I actually that is one of my I think that's one of my favorite scenes from this episode is when he was like, "Goodbye, Darth." In the episode, a couple episodes ago, they're having that sparring sequence.
Right.
And he says like, yeah, he's like, "Mercy won't defeat my enemies, Master," but like he did. This is where
Yeah.
Obi-Wan was like, I don't have to kill you here anymore. Like I've already beaten you twice.
I
I have
spanked you
nothing.
twice.
Yeah. And he calls me, he's like, "Goodbye, Darth. You're not Anakin anymore. Anakin is literally dead now." So, or not literally, but Anakin is dead now. So goodbye,
Yeah.
Darth. That's he's calling that title. So when he meets him again in episode 4, he's like, "Hello,
Yeah.
Darth. We
And
meet
that's-
again, Darth."
That's Obi-Wan letting go, like
Yeah.
obviously, and in some ways killing Anakin,
Hmm.
or killing Anakin separately, or having Anakin be separate from Darth. Like he holds Anakin and has a personal thing for him, but doesn't see Darth as Anakin for the person.
I said it was like in episode 3 he killed Anakin Skywalker, and then now in episode 6 of Kenobi he killed the memory of Anakin Skywalker. He killed the past.
Yeah.
He let it die if it must.
All right. Anybody want anything else before we jump to season recap?
Qui-Gon's still hot, so that's great. We're all sick job.
Yes. Yes. No, Qui-Gon. I love that scene with Qui-Gon. That was just so nice. It was so
nice.
I needed that. Man. I love Liam Neeson.
I love
Liam
Liam
Neeson is a gem, and then to have him reprise Qui-Gon, that was amazing. I didn't get to see that on set, unfortunately. They kept that super under wraps for obvious reasons, but that was really fun. But yeah, now I can maybe post things, which is what I did already. Yeah.
Oh.
You've got a ways to go.
And I just wonder where this is gonna go. And if you notice, the canyon that he's going into is actually where the pod racing happened.
That's correct. That's also where Luke was attacked by the
Yes.
Tusken Raiders.
That's right.
Yes. That's also
So-
where R2D2 rolled off to.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a infamous spot. Are they shooting that in Tunisia where they originally shot that, or is that?
You mean for the Obi-Wan show? No, they didn't
Yeah.
shoot that in Tunisia.
Okay.
They shot that all pretty much in California. So it was
Up in Joshua Tree.
It was all around LA, Santa Clarita, I think, something like that, and some mines as well. And I mean, you got to remember, LA is a desert, so it's not hard to find a desert.
That's right.
So yeah.
So how much was green screen?
Some of it was green screen with while on location. Yeah.
Because I saw your Facebook photo, it seemed like many desert scenes were like rear screen projection or green screen.
Oh, the my photos.
Yeah.
So that was the volume. Yeah, that was some of it was in the volume. The fight scene was in the volume for the most part. I think there was maybe another scene somewhere else, another set somewhere else for a couple of shots, but most of the fight scene was in the volume. So it was great.
So outside the volume, you didn't have any work there, or
No, not necessarily. I didn't go on set. I mean, the thing is, we shot on the volume so much, especially with second unit, so there was no need for me to. I mean, there's no need for us to go on set or on location, excuse me, because we're on set only in the volume. Yeah, which was a lot. Which is, I want to say, the volume work was like maybe 80% of the show, and 20% was on location. So, I mean, that's not the most mathematical accurate percentage, but that's just the way I saw it. So, but it was best time of my life on set so far. Highlight of mine.
So my question would be then, like maybe Mac, you can answer why would they have shot before in Tunisia and now they just went to LA, because everything is usually in LA. Why
Because
did they have?
it's cheaper.
Yeah, by far.
It's way cheaper. I mean, imagine, so if you're doing in a volume, you can literally rotate. You can rotate the sun. You can fix the lighting. You can everybody's in air conditioning. It's comfortable. You don't have to pay transportation fees. You don't have to fly out an entire crew to Tunisia. You don't have to. There's so many logistical things that the volume takes care of that makes it
No
cheaper.
sand. No
It's still
sand.
expensive. It's still expensive to shoot on the volume, but nowhere near the potential catastrophes that can happen on location in Tunisia, for instance.
So basically, the technology wasn't good enough back then to do volumes.
Exactly. It
whereas-
just wasn't there. It just
Ah,
wasn't there.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
So they always had like blue screens and green screens.
No, there's no sand in the forum.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's everywhere.
so yeah, so that's primarily why, and that's why Mandalorian has used it. And I mean they're the first show to really use it primarily, and it looks amazing. So
Mhm.
so yeah, it's primarily because of that, and it's going to change how movies are made. And like I said, Spielberg was there to use for a couple of his shots in another stage for the Fablemans, which is a movie that's coming out that he's doing. And I was like 5 feet away from Spielberg. I snuck on that set, and I can smell that success from there. I'm like, oh, I can smell your success, Spielberg.
Got a locket of his hair right here, $50.
Oh man,
Anybody?
listen, yeah, I don't know. It was just a surreal experience to be that close to him. But yeah, no, the volume work is gonna continue from now on, and I think it's gonna be. I think it's just gonna get bigger and bigger, honestly.
Yeah, I'm genuinely impressed about like over the amount of coverage the forum gives the cinema crew. I'm just, every time I look at shots now, I'm like, dude, this is so full of, like, they can just put anything in here, like anything. You can just put it in here,
literally put anything,
and it looks so good. Like the CGI in Star Wars has always looked really good, but this is like a TV show, and it looks sensational. The CGI is phenomenal.
That's another point too.
Yeah.
This is not a movie. So
It's not a movie.
TV series are generally speaking a little bit less. They don't have as high a budget.
Yeah.
So they have to resort to those things. And yeah, that's a main component of why the volume is used. That's for sure. I can't wait for the BTS to come out.
When the BTS comes out, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna hit you up and be like, all right, dude. All right, dude.
You guys can
Walk me
spot
through
me with
this.
my mask on if I even made it into the to the cut. I hope I did.
Yeah.
I'm told I did, but who knows?
Your foot's gonna be behind the camera poking out. You're like, look, that's me. There I am. Look, that's my shoe. I have the shoe.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll take that.
All right, I guess that was a funny way to end our 6-episode review. Stay in touch with us in our season recap, which we're gonna shoot right away. Thank you so much, everyone.